Welcome to the Battle Ready podcast, where we know that every single day is a battle. This show is about equipping you mentally, physically, and spiritually to win the daily battles. I want you to become totally free, whole, and powerful. It's time to step into your battles equipped and ready to win. I'm your host, Dr. Kaylee Judge. Let's get battle ready. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Battle Ready podcast. This is Dr. Kaylee Judge. We are on our very, very last episode of February, and I have a special friend. All my friends are special, but this guy, I've known him. We met about 2 years ago now, and met in passing, and then I got an opportunity to speak at his event last year, and he's just a bulldozer in the chiropractic profession and grew up in it like I did. And I wanted him to come on and share his story because he's got a very unique story with his health journey and what's changed over the last year and a half. So Dr. Danny Knowles, welcome to the Battle Ready podcast.
I'm grateful to be here. I'm so thrilled with what you're doing. I love the messages you put out. And I love everything about you and your family, so I'm grateful to share, and especially in American Heart Health Month, kind of very fitting, and also happens to be Valentine's Day, so that we're recording this, so it's very fitting as well.
Yeah, we got all the heart things covered today, right? We're nailing it today, me and you. So thanks for being here. You're located out in Colorado, the Mile High group, and you've been in chiropractic for basically your whole life, right? So why don't you go ahead and tell my listeners a little bit about you, just some history, and then we'll kind of kick into what we really want to talk about.
Okay, well, first of all, I'll say this, because when I was praying and meditating and visualizing this morning in my morning power hour that I do, what surfaced up that I want to share first of all was my gratitude and love. Because at this point, I have within me the aortic valve and aorta of a 20-year-old that had passed away, and I'm living because I have that part within me, and also many other factors, but I have that, and to be grateful for that and a steward of that, and to see that this soul chose to be a donor and gave that, and being a steward of that to, allow me to be on my journey continued. So I wanted to start out with that.
That's, there's a lot of stuff going on. I've got a lot of people, friends, family that are just going through some health things right now. And it is just powerful to see people come together, and and that's what our world is all about. And more people need to do things like that, or just simply giving people something of your resources. It doesn't have to be an organ. So maybe it's somebody needs $5 extra today, or a hug.
So like my story, as you know, and your experience, I really feel that chiropractic is a calling. I know people see it as a profession or a job or a career. To me, it's a calling. And I know within my heart of heart and soul of souls that I was meant to do this and to serve this way. And I'm very much listen to that. However, I was not always in chiropractic. I was really called and found my way to it. My first 2 years of life, I had 12 rounds of antibiotics for ear infections in 2 years, right? 24 months, 12 rounds of antibiotics. It's a lot. And each time I had ear infections, I did the antibiotics, and 2 of the times I was dehydrated and had to go to the hospital and incubated because I had such reaction to it, but I still kept doing it because that was what the doctors told my mom to do, and she didn't know better. My mom's first husband, my biological dad, was a medical doctor, medical student, and that was the world that they were in. So that's what they did. And, if someone has that kind of exposure when they're that young, like that much medication, what happens to their immune system?
Get shut down.
And that was me. So when I was growing up, I was often ill. I was often missed school. I was often the sick kid in the class, on and off medications. And my mom got to this point, to make the long story short, she got to this point where saying, no more meds. I think it's making them worse. Like, we're not going to go to doctors anymore, because this had then turned into allergies. Right? I'd never had allergies before. And now I was having allergies all the time. So she said, I think all this stuff that we're doing is making it worse. We're just going to go cold turkey on this. And when you do that, that's not necessarily the best advice all the time. And three things can happen. Either you could get miraculously better, things can not change, or you could get worse. And I was the kid that got worse. So now I was no medications and I was worse. And my mom, my dad split up at this point, and she kept saying this thing. I still remember saying this, like she was saying a mantra over me, saying it as I was sick on the couch. She would say over and over again, your body heals itself, your body heals itself. And I was like, that's not the experience I'm living, And, but this one day, this neighbor said to my mom, you got to take this kid to a doctor because he's sick all the time. And she said, I don't want to take him to doctors. I don't want to give Penny aspirin. I don't give him medication, but I don't know what to do with him. So he went to this thing that some people remember called a library. And he went on his own accord and looked, because today people would look up things on one of these, right?
Yeah.
So he went to the library and looked up drugless healing arts. And he came back to our house and said, 5 simple words. I found a doctor for your son. The world's largest drugless healing art is chiropractic. Those words, the world's largest drugless healing art is chiropractic. That was it. And so she took me, and my health changed. She decided to be a chiropractor. And then, she married a chiropractor. I married a chiropractor. There's a family of chiropractors now. So I know, I was called, and that was, sometimes illness can be a gift. Sometimes things that are challenging can be a gift. But very often they are. And if you don't see the gift, you can be missing something if you a value. I know as a gift to all the people that I've had the opportunity to help and serve as a chiropractor in my office. If that hadn't happened, they wouldn't have had an impact on their health and well-being. But later on, I see the bigness of the gift, because the things that would happen, even bigger than that, is that the things that happened in my health, with my heart, with the congenital anomaly that we never knew. I know without a shadow of a doubt that if I had not had chiropractic care the last 30 plus years, I would not have lived through that. I would not have adapted to it. I wouldn't, and plus not chiropractic adjustments and the healthy lifestyle choices that, I make on a day-to-day basis, because I have a chiropractic mindset, right? So the gratitude's unending. So I know that I'm here because of chiropractic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's powerful. People associate chiropractic with neck pain, back pain, headaches, and that's and I tell my people, I'm like, if that's like getting an iPhone and you're just using it to text message, there's just so much more to chiropractic than just neck pain, back pain, headaches. That's the easy stuff. What we really truly do as chiropractors is we're checking to see if there's interference going to your organs, your cells, and your tissues, not allowing your body to function and heal the way that it's designed. And so that's what you and your family learned, maybe the hard way, and that's what most of society learns. Chiropractic is like a last ditch effort. And I think that even where you stand with your seminars and even this podcast, it's we don't want chiropractic to be the last ditch effort. We want that to be primary care and looking to make sure your body's functioning before we start adding or taking things away from your body. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 1,000%. I tell people every time when I review results with them, and I do that in a group setting, I always say, the ideal is that you have chiropractic care from the time you have a spine, which is when you were born, as far as I know, for most people. So at the time of birth is when it should get checked. You get your teeth checked at the time that you have teeth, right? Our role as a chiropractor is to teach people that, because the world would be a completely different place if people did that on a regular basis. It was just something that was known as part of what you do as a person with a spine, that you care for it, and being free of spinal subluxations is crucial to that. In and of themselves, spinal subluxations are an impediment to you being the best version of yourself.
Yeah, and now, do you feel like there's like a shift in healthcare happening right now as far as like the general population is wanting different answers?
Yes, I really truly do. And I feel that it's the public shifting, and healthcare shifting, and chiropractors have to catch up.
Yeah.
For the most part, there's BJ Palmer. I have this article they did called the Great Dual Robbery. That medical, there's from the 20s, so this is not like, or it might have been the 40s. This is not new. He said like chiropractors are stealing medicine and trying to become more medical, and medical doctors are becoming more chiropractic, and they're switching directions. I will tell you, I love the Colorado Rockies. Okay, I go to Rockies games, one of our fun things to do. And when I go, United Health, one of the Colorado things has, extraordinary as their marketing tagline. Extraordinary, not get out of pain, not prevent disease. They're saying extraordinary, right? Live extraordinary, because they know they spend a lot of money behind their marketing, because they know that's what the public wants. The public wants more than disease treatment, and wants more than having less of something, less pain, less headaches. Like they want more from their life, and the public is shifting towards that. And so we, as healthcare providers, are perfectly positioned. It's our time to say and scream from the rooftops, like, you getting chiropractic care for your health is about making your life extraordinary, about getting more from your life, about being able to live more years, greater quality, enjoy your kids, have more energy, being more dynamic. That is what the true benefit of chiropractic is, versus, oh, I want to do it when I want to drop in because my neck is hurting. That's like deciding to exercise when the scale is too many pounds off. Now I'll exercise. That's not getting from exercise what you can get out of it, right? It's in healthcare is moving towards that, because they know public. We've seen, you saw probably as a kid, I saw it. We saw other generations go out where they would manage their health by hope management. I was hoping I didn't have cancer. I was hoping I didn't get sickness and disease. And we saw them actually live out their lives in not the best situations their last 10, 20 years, where we say, I'm not going to do things. I'm not going to just manage my health by hope, right? I'm going to take action, take care of it. Yes, I want to be proactive to prevent things, but more than that, health isn't about just preventing a negative, like preventing dying early or preventing a disease. Health and well-being is about fostering wellness and your optimal state and getting the most out of life. Like, I want to be the person, that's rock climbing when I'm in my 80s. Like, I want to do that, right? As compared to that, I just want to make sure I don't get diabetes when I'm 80. I don't want a serious condition either, but at the same time, I want to live life to the fullest. People want that in their life more than ever. We've gone through a shift in that, and of the healing arts that exist on the planet, chiropractic is the greatest healing art invention of the last century, technology, and has more impact. People have more in their hands than is any pill, potion, lotion, or surgical procedure. And we have that gift. To give less than our best is to sacrifice that gift.
Preach. I mean, like, that's like a mic drop moment right there, right? I think one thing too, and I think this is a fault of chiropractors right now, and you're talking about catching up, where we fight, and this is going out to a general public, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but we fight as chiropractors in my technique versus this technique, and only adjustments, and if you just remove the subluxation, you're going to heal, which I'm on board with that. However, I think that we are battling now more than ever with extreme environmental toxins that
Mhm.
we need to learn how to teach our patients to stay away from,
Yeah.
and ourselves, really, because even in the green books and back in the day, BJ always said there's three causes: thoughts, traumas, and toxins to subluxation. And I think that sometimes we kind of give ourselves a way out to not teach nutrition, to not teach how to remove environmental toxins and things like that, by just saying, well, if I just get rid of the subluxation, well, is that the actual cause of what's going on, or do we really need to look into these things and really get a grasp, have a bigger grasp and understanding? And I think that if we're teaching our patients well, we're giving them the information that we've learned, and also walking in that realm ourselves.
Well, yeah. And here's the thing. Health is an array of contributing factors, right? And you have to put as many positive constructive survival values you can stack, right? That's your goal, and limit as many destructive survival values. This time in our planet, we have more destructive survival values probably that we're exposed to than any time in history. And we have to do our best to be stewards of our body and this life that we've been gifted to stack the constructive things and to share with people what are the constructive things. And also, when you actually are less subluxated, more subluxation free, more connected to innate cues, then you make better choices as well, because you can listen to your body better versus that you're more disconnected. Interestingly enough, a friend of ours that you and I have as a common friend, Bobby Dosher.
Yeah.
She runs the Oklahoman Children's Clinic Chiropractic Center, and it's a chiropractic center for underprivileged children. I think it's 60 years now, and amazing work that they do. She said something to me about this topic that I think is very important for your listeners. She said, and she's been doing this a long time, longer than you and I, and she said that 40 years ago, whatever, she would see these miracle cases with these kids with incredible neurodevelopmental changes in 2 or 3 days. And so then she says the years went by, she saw it would take months, and now years. She said, and I said, well, why do you think that? And she said, or why do you experience? She said, because the toxins are so bad compared to what they were when I started practicing. The things that people are exposed to and the challenges are so much more significant than in the 50s and the 60s. And you can just use this as an example, the electromagnetic radiation that we're all in, right? And also a friend of mine who's a chiropractor in our area, he says that one of the greatest subluxations right now is the information subluxation. That we're so overwhelmed with information toxicity that fries our nerve system and overwhelms our minds that we don't get time to be present, just think of how you could probably think of times, maybe your older viewers, listeners can think of times where it was like more peaceful in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the speed of life now, or like I went away on a vacation trip in Hawaii. We're up in the mountains in Hawaii. It was like you could feel the peace, not because I was on vacation, but the energetic peace versus the hustle and bustle of our lives. That's toxicity, so there's so many things that are overwhelming us. And essential, first of all, yes, stack the positive things, limit the destructive things, and make sure your nervous system can be at its finest throughout all of that.
And I think even if we can speak on that, the information toxicity, the thing that happens is that we open our phone up and we go in there and we find, the best diet, the best exercise routine, the best this, the best that. And all of a sudden, thousands of things pop up and it's like, I don't even know what this means. We don't have people guiding us and helping us through this and helping us make a decision on who or what the best options are. And so then all of a sudden it's just like, too much. I quit. Right. I'm just not even going to do it. I'll deal with the number on the scale. I'll deal with the depression that I'm walking with. I'll deal with all the things because it's just a lot easier to not have to change. And, it's so much easier to maintain your health than try to regain it after it's gone. Mm-hmm. I always tell my patients, I'm like, the best testimony that I could ever have is the one that you never have to give me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The one, you never developed cancer, you never developed heart disease, you never had diabetes, you never had depression, you never had bipolar, you never had all these things over and over and over again. And and it takes work. It's painful. Like, it's not fun always to go be healthy, right? I have to get up earlier because I need to go work out, and I have to get up earlier because I need to get my mindset right. And it's a priority. It has to become that. Otherwise, it's like I'm walking around in a daze and in a fog. And sometimes I was driving today, and somebody was like turning the corner, and I was like waiting for her to move, and she was just like driving and yawning, and I'm like, where are you? Like, how did you even leave your house this morning? And so we've got to start being intentional with our hours that we're given, because I promise you, it is a lot easier and way more fun to maintain your health than to try to regain it back.
Well, I always tell people, may we never find out what we prevented.
Yeah. So true. You know, and that's the thing, you know, we talk about like genetics and all this, and the reality is that we're all predisposed to something, right? And it's a matter of whether or not we're turning these genes on or off. And so probably 97% of the time we have control over the diseases that we're giving ourselves. We're giving ourselves disease. We're not getting a disease. We're giving it to ourselves, right, based off of our lifestyle and the things that we do to it. And so let's kind of jump into your last 19 months or so, and what has like completely transformed, maybe even in like your mindset towards health. And because I think even, this may not be you, but I think even as doctors, as chiropractors, as even people who are patients of ours, that we have this realm, and it's like, well, I go to the chiropractor, I am a chiropractor, so I'm immune to anything, right? We have this. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the biggest thing I will say, that especially your practice members, the public, is realize what you don't see and don't feel can be hurting you. Yeah. What you don't see and don't feel can be having a negative impact on you, and without you having any realization of it. So here's the thing. Being, since I was a teen, very focused on health. And yes, there's people that are better at taking care of their health than me, but it was a primary thing in my life, day in and day out. And chiropractically, nutritionally, everything. We all do that to the degree that we can, but it was a big part of taking care of patients, of volume practice. The July 3rd of 2018, I came home from the office after seeing 100 plus practice members that day, having a 4:30 workout regimen in the morning where I did 100 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, and in between sprints. Got home, had dinner, and a few hours later found myself on the floor in so much agony that I was screaming. And being the person that wants to use as little medical care as I can, saying to my wife, I'm not going to the hospital, no way. And eventually she took me, and we go there, and she says to me, when we're in the hospital, they're testing me, they're looking for GI stuff because I had stomach pain. And I'm like, oh, it must be something I ate bad or whatever. But it was all abdominal pain. And while I'm there, they're finding nothing with my abdomen. I'm like, all right, can I just go home? You guys are searching. You don't know what you're doing, because I was not the best patient, okay, to be honest.
Shocker.
And the ER doc said, she saved my life. She said to me as she was examining, your blood pressure is pretty high, your heart's really racing, and she was doing a ultrasound on my abdomen, and she said, one more thing, and she just moved it up. She said it was really like a moment of using clinical intuition, where she said, let me just move that to your heart. No reason to check my heart. And she said, your heart's enlarged. Has anybody ever told you that? No one's ever told me that my heart was enlarged. Actually, what I said to her, my immediate response, being the humorous dude I am, I said, everybody tells them I have a big heart. Can I go home? It's like, that's what I said. And she said, no, it's really enlarged. I want to get an EKG. When she goes out to get to the EKG, I said to my wife, we're out of here before she comes back because they're searching. They don't know what they're doing. There's nothing wrong with my heart. I've never had anything unusual heart. Every heart exam's been normal. I had a heart exam a month before. They said your heart is healthy, okay? And everything came out normal. And so they come back, they do an EKG. They said, you are in heart failure.
Wow.
And I said, you're crazy. I did this. I've exercised 6 days this week. How could I freaking be in heart failure? Right? And I said, I'm going home. She said, no, you need to be admitted to the cardiologist in the morning. I said, no, I have baseball tickets with my kids tomorrow. I'm going home. I'm not staying until July 4th in the hospital. Right? And they're like, you need to stay. My wife made me stay. They do this, and I'm like, reluctantly, I'm like, okay, I'll leave you guys. I'll stay for the night, but we're going to the baseball game, see the fireworks and all that. And cause that's what I wanted to do. And so they then did a ECG where they could see inside, and they showed me this image of the blood pumping the wrong way.
Huh.
Now I'm smart enough to know that that's not good. Right. And I was like, they're like, your valve is shot. You have an abnormal valve. You're supposed to have 3 leaflets. You have 2, and it's a bicuspid valve. This is a common abnormality, right? But no one ever told me this. No one ever found it in a heart exam. So it means that all the exercise, everything I was doing, races, all the fitness, I was doing it with cardiac insufficiency and inefficient system. And 3 valves of 2, 2 valves of 3, it's not as efficient. So I was doing all of that with less capacity, and even with that, I've been apparently stage heart failure for like 3 months, and I was still doing all that exercise and everything somehow through that, and had no idea. Right? So they said, no, this is like, you are dazed. If this had not been found, my stomach pain happened because parts of my heart were breaking off.
Oh man.
And going out. One had gone into my leg, and I had leg pain about a month before, and they said that it was just a strain because I thought I'd just over-exercised. And one had broken off into my lungs, and one had broken off into my digestive system. The one in the digestive system made my heart, my abdomen contract, and that's why I was in pain, because it was this piece of my heart valve lodged in my hepatic arch. So here's the thing. We were supposed to be on a plane to Australia a few days from then. Like, if you are in heart failure, going over the Pacific and that's too much stress. If that had not divinely happened at that timing, I probably wouldn't have made it. Mm-hmm. And so, I see this, they tell me that. As soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, so when are we doing surgery? Like, my mind, like, that quick. Like, I was like, okay, well, obviously we need to do this. Let's make this happen. It saved my life. But here's the thing. When I was there, I was like, how could this be? Like, I did all this. I work 6 days this week. I take care of patients. I totally blew me away. And my wife said to me something that you'll appreciate here relative to the theme of this talk. She said to me, well, that 20 years of getting up in the morning at 4 a.m. and exercising 6 days a week that I've seen you do just paid off. Mm-hmm. Right? So like what you don't see and don't feel could be hurting you. And at the same time, the positive things you are doing for your health that you don't see and don't feel the immediate result can be helping you without you necessarily realizing it. And that's what we think, like health, like immediate gratification, like I paint my house and now it's a different color. Look how beautiful it is. Health is not like that. It's not an event. It's a process. You do contributing things and you do your best to do that and to get great advice and good counsel and know, because there's a lot of information, like you said, but realize like you don't take a multivitamin, at least this hasn't happened to me, and like all of a sudden feel like Popeye and like things pop, like that doesn't happen, you know? But I know because that was one of the things I did, it contributed. I think the thing that contributed the most was the chiropractic adjustments for sure. However, I also know that if I had been, 200 pounds overweight and not living a healthy diet and all those other things, those also would have been pretty bad.
Did you ever doubt the chiropractic principle through that process?
No. From the moment I was like, I was like, wow, thank God chiropractic came into my life as a kid. Because if it hadn't, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation. Yeah. I probably now looking back, right? The infections as a kid, the allergies, getting sick often. I've met other people that had bicuspid valves and read a lot about it. A lot of time that shows up in their 20s and they die a lot earlier. So I know that, they end up having a heart infection earlier. And that's what I had. I had a heart infection that is a common sequela of having an abnormal valve. And usually they happen earlier. It manifests another health way. And it hadn't manifested me because I did so much to take care of my health. So I was like, wow, no wonder I had all those problems as a kid. I had an abnormality in addition to subluxations that my body was doing its best to adapt to.
How old were you when you started getting adjusted?
13.
13 years old. So 30-ish years of getting adjusted.
Yeah, I was 48 when this happened. So
35 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is that math?
Mm-hmm.
Good math. Not always the best at math, but we wing it sometimes. When it comes to health, has your regimen changed since then? What things are you focusing on since your surgeries, since everything happening? What's been going on?
Yes, I'm. It has been a period of reorganizing. I have a lot of responsibilities and things I do other than my practice and my kids. So a lot of balls I'm juggling. So having to reorganize, reprioritize. Your sense, once you really are faced with losing your health, until you're really, we give lip service to health. Like I want to be fit. I want to be in shape. I don't want to have a disease. And to a degree, it can be lip service. It doesn't necessarily really hit you as much as when you really lose your health or someone you love. I don't know. For me, I'll just speak for me. It hit me on another level of how valuable each moment is, how precious it is. And like, we really don't know. The only moment we have to appreciate is the one we have now. We don't know what our last one is. None of us know. In our community, this happened. This is a tragedy. One of my daughters, she's 16, friends, died tragically in a car accident a month ago. She did not know that was her last day. Our whole community was rocked about this. Okay. That could have been my last day. It gives you more value for the people in front of your lives versus we spend a lot of time looking at these things, right? And how important is this versus the people that are sitting around you, right? And all the other things. And how do we manage that? So I've actually had a lot of with that more than anything of like, well, what's important, reprioritizing. And we should all do that. We shouldn't have to have a life-threatening situation to have that kind of wake-up call, because we all can reflect and reprioritize things and say what's really important with this life that we've been given. In terms of health action, I already thought I was very healthy, but I'm more focused on it and really tracking and monitoring more. So like one of the things that I'm marketing is what's the word?
Monitoring.
Monitoring. One of the things I'm monitoring is my HRV. I have a thing that I watch it very accurately with something called Whoop. So I watch that and like keep monitoring what things I can do to optimize it. The last little bit, my HRV has gone into the range of someone much younger than me. So that's cool. I've got to keep up with the 20-year-old valve that's in there. So that's really cool. Also, I've been making sure I get more sleep. I'm a person that achieved and did that by 4 hours of sleep a night for years. Like that was my MO to make things happen. So like I'm working on making sure I get 6 or 7 hours and trying to get to even more. I'm doing things where I'm eating much more plant-based than I used to. I'm doing things where I'm completely gluten-free. So ranges of those things. And I keep monitoring to see as I can tweak that, because I was like, okay, now I'm living on someone else's, aorta and someone else's heart, and I got to take care of it, and I have to take better care of myself and know that I'm here for a purpose, for a mission. I lived through this for a reason, and so I need to be a steward of that and hear that calling.
What do you think you were talking about HRV. What do you think the stress component of life, how much of an impact on our health or diminishing of health does stress have on our bodies?
I think it's one of your top factors. I don't know if I could say it's but it's in the top 2, 3, 4, definitely 5. Stress, fight or flight. Your nerve system can be hijacked from past traumas, events that happened years and years ago. Create armoring, create different choices, change the shape, position, tension, tone of your spine, and you not realize it. That stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol can be totally taking over your physiology, creating inflammatory responses. So it is a major factor. We check on all our patients something we call a neuropulse, which is the relationship between the heart rate variability and the galvanic skin response, which is the stress response. So that we help them get that into a healthy range, or we monitor if it's getting in a healthy range as part of their chiropractic care, if they have to take other steps in addition to keep it in a healthy range.
I did that test that was through CLA, right?
Yeah.
I did that test at Mile High, and it's like nerve-wracking. I was like, I think I'm going to fail this test just because I'm so nervous about what the result's going to be. And that kind of goes into what I wanted to talk about too. Like my health, like you were talking about, like you don't know what you have basically until it's gone or something comes up. And for me, like sometimes I feel like I'm not as empathetic or sympathetic with people because I haven't really had I haven't had bad health. Like health has just always been a part of my life. And so sometimes I'm like, well, why can't everybody else do this? Like if I can do it, everybody can do it. And so I go through those motions of like, or I kind of like let myself off the hook on some things. I'm like, well, I'll be fine. It's like my body's healthy. My body's going to respond. But regardless of whether you have a symptom or not, and this is not a comment of living in like a fear-based reality. It's living in a real reality of like, hey, yeah, I may not have a heart disease symptom. I may not have a lung issue. I may not have diabetes, or I may not have a gut issue, but I'm just as susceptible to anybody else to have any of those things. And if I were to stop doing all the things that I do for my health, imagine what would happen. Like, imagine if I walked into my office with a bag full of McDonald's, like what would people be like, what would be going through people's minds? Like it's incongruent. And so I think that when we're talking about health, like we've got to check all the boxes. First of all, you have to make sure that your nervous system is cleared out, that your body is functioning and healing the way that it's designed to. From there, then we can start talking about diet. Then we can start talking about nutrition. Then we can start talking about stress and time management. And I think that's a huge one because I have so many people coming in like, I have so many things to do and I just don't know how to get it all done. And I was actually just talking to somebody about this today. I'm like, I use this thing called Google Task, and I go in each day and I knock out what my priority things are and like what appointments I have for the day. And then I check mark those things as I go. Otherwise I'm like, crap, I have like 60 things to do today and there's no way I'm going to get it done. right? And so, or I forget, and then I'm the jerk that forgot to do something for somebody, and that's just not where we want to be. And so I think stress is huge, but also don't underestimate your health.
Right.
And don't underestimate how quickly a disease wants to manifest, right? Because it happens quick. We know that. And so, and some are factors that you're not able to control, but there is a lot of things that you are able to control, even if you can make it be put off for a long period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that we so take for granted. Or, and our culture is changing for this. We talked about health people being more focused on the extraordinary or being, having more out of life. For years and years, generations, it's like, oh, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, that's how people took their approach to their health and well-being. And that's just not going to cut it anymore. You're more valuable than that. You're more important than that. And it doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. Just do better than you did the day before and have fun with it. Once you implement one thing for your health, it then becomes second nature, and then you'll add more, and it will become easier and easier. Like for some people, like just deciding that I'm going to eat more fruit and vegetables is like at first some effort and energy to shop differently, but then it's like, oh, this is kind of just the way I do it, and then they'll add something else different. Same thing with chiropractic care. At first it's like effort or a different thing to make these appointments and get to someone's office. And then after a while, like, wow, I look forward to that. It's I do it. My spine's healthier now. I don't do it necessarily as frequently as before. And, it just becomes part of your routine, right? And you've got to make things of constructive survival value routines. And that's how you optimize your health. And you just keep raising the bar because you know that you want to get more out of your life experience.
Yeah, and I think that's so big to talk about as far as like, even with chiropractic, like I've been getting adjusted literally since the day I was born. I've never been vaccinated, never taken a medication. And that's my story, and for a long time I was like, crap, I don't have like this miraculous healing story. And like, that's what got me into chiropractic. And I used to like be ashamed of it. And it's like that's the world that we're trying to create, is the ability for how come one person can grow up and never have to take a medication, and yet there's so many other kids out there that are going medical doctor after medical doctor, drug after drug after drug, diagnosis after diagnosis, and it does not have to be that way. And I think it's just so simple for, even still, like I get adjusted. I'm like, how do people live without chiropractic? And how do we function without that? And so and it's not necessarily based off of a feeling thing. Like health should not be based off of how you feel, but it feels darn good to be healthy. Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Like there's people I see that are not healthy, and I'm like, 0% chance you're going to get me to sign up for that.
Right.
I'm going to sit through pain and like endure the hardship of going on a run when it's cold out, or getting on the bike, or jumping in the water when I really don't want to, and doing a swim, or eating the kale salad when I'd rather have the cheeseburger. There's decisions that we have to make along the way, but I promise you, like, go and like actually observe people that are ill. Right. And it'll change your perspective. Or maybe you have a loved one, or maybe you are the person who is ill and you're like, damn it, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
It's not too late. Like there's still a chance for you to regain your health. So anything you want to give these guys is a little nugget on health or chiropractic or life? Old wise owl.
Yes, I will say this. One of my favorite authors is Paulo Coelho. Many people know him. He wrote The Alchemist. And a theme that runs through many of his books is to hold your mortality close to you. Mm-hmm. We live with this, for many of us, like our mortality is so far away. It's not something that, we're not going to lose our life. We keep it distant. And he says, actually, hold your mortality close to you and you will live more intensely. And I encourage people to live more intensely in everything they do, to love more intensely, to give more intensely, to give and take care of yourself more intensely, to enjoy more intensely, because it's a precious ride we're on, like, this is the healthiest example, but yes, it is. Like, if you're going to like have the glass of wine, have the good glass of wine, like have the good chocolate, like, live more intensely, love more intensely, because all of this ends. And so, get the juice out of it as compared to just get by.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing too, is that one of the comments I always hear when people like hear how I live my life, it's like, well, don't you miss indulging in this, and don't you miss doing that? It's like, I do. I just choose better options. Right? Like
Right.
I do have the chocolate. I just have the better kind of chocolate for you. Like
Yeah.
I do have the cake. I just make cake better so it's not destroying my body.
Right.
So there's just different ways, and you have to listen, I didn't grow up that way. Like the food, the nutrition part of it was not like my outlook on food when I was growing up was chicken nuggets and French fries, and I was happy. A bowl of cereal every single morning, glass of milk, and that was my life. And now, like, you'll see me with a kale salad, and you'll see me choosing those types of options and getting rid of the sugar and going through that. But it's been probably a 13-year journey of learning what nutrition actually is.
And spend a few more cents for the organic kale.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, have the red wine that's organic or whatever it is, get the chocolate that's paleo chocolate or whatever it is, that's the healthy version,
And that's the thing too, is that we are actually, like, before, like when the organic movement first started, people are like, well, that doesn't matter. And they fuss about it. And it's like, no, we're actually finding how bad glyphosate is for our gut, which is in turn destroying all kinds of other things in our immune system. Even gut health is being related to heart health. And there's things, I've done a post on that before in Battle Ready. And so we have to become conscious of what we're actually putting into our body and know that things can be harmful.
Right.
All right. Any parting words before we sign off here?
Live more intensely, get your spine checked, and live life to the fullest. And just realize what you don't see and don't feel can be hurting you. Just because you don't feel something in your back doesn't mean you don't need your spine checked. And what you don't see and don't feel that can be doing good for you, just because you're eating the organic versus the non-organic doesn't mean, and you don't feel different, doesn't mean it's not helping you.
Right. Amen. Yeah, guys. So if you liked this episode, subscribe to the Battle Ready podcast, share it out on your social media, send it to somebody that you love that needs to hear this message, maybe for some encouragement. And yeah, thanks for being here. Come back next week, and we're starting a whole new topic, whole new series. So Dr. Danny, appreciate you being here. Thanks for taking time out of your Valentine's Day to be with me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for all the love you give to others.
Awesome.